Hello, everyone. This is Doug Helvey, contacting you from New Bern, North Carolina, on the 6th day of December, 2024. I'm contacting you as a devoted and devout male practitioner of the arts magickal, Wicca, and witchcraft more directly. I'm making this video today to show the world that not all witches, Wiccans, Druids, sorcerers, pagans, heathens, not all of us are left-leaning liberal lunatics. I'm bringing this up because I have lost count of the number of videos I've recently watched of immature crybabies stomping, screaming, and just generally acting up in front of their computer screens to demonstrate their unhinged hatred for the rest of us. That is, the rest of us that voted for President-elect Donald Trump. Yes, I wear a pentagram. I'm a devoted priest, actually devoted Lord High Priest, third-degree witch. I also use the term warlock in Eternal Harvest Wicca. I'm actually the founder of Eternal Harvest Wicca in North Carolina here in the United States. I'm bringing up this conversation because over the years, I myself, who originally supported President Trump in 2016, and yes, voted for him because his ideas made common sense to me, such as closing and placing a wall on an open border that was so porous, people were literally just walking across it and not being held accountable. Border Patrol agents were wiping babies' butts and doing paperwork while they were supposed to have been allowed to do their job on the border. This is uncalled for. They were put on the border to protect our border. And if you want to call me a racist, which I've been called a racist, and frankly, I don't give a rat's ass because I'm not. I'm a realist that believes our border should be shut down, protected, and all of these illegals ejected from our country. I don't care if these people come from Mexico. I don't care if they come from Finland. I don't care if they come from Uganda, China, Uruguay, or Peru. I don't care where they come from. If you cross our borders illegally, you are an illegal alien, pure and simple. That's one reason that's one reason that I voted for Donald J. Trump. The other reason is because way too many of you Democrats out there have this undying desire to relieve the rest of us in this country from our freedom to own these things called firearms. That is virtually about the only reason, as a right-leaning independent libertarian, that I'm not a Democrat. Because you people want to take away our freedoms so much that it's become part of your mantra. Take away people's guns. I got one question for you. When your home gets broken into, your wife or your daughters get raped by these maggots that cross our borders illegally, or frankly, any person, both that is a citizen or an illegal. If you don't want protection to keep your daughter, hell, your son, your wife, your sister from being brutalized by no good nicks and pieces of trash that have no care for the sovereignty these women, daughters, these young girls have over their bodies, to not want to undergo this horror, then frankly, you're bald-faced idiots. I have, frankly, I'm not even going to tell you how many guns I own. I'll just keep it that way. I will say this much. Anyone ever breaks into my home, next call is going to be to the ambulance, because no one will harm me or my wife. Pure and simple. That's another reason I voted for President Trump. The other reasons are you mindless maniacs have this desire for grown biological men to be in women's sports. Have you seen some of the injuries and the traumas some of these young women have undergone because of 6 foot 2 inch tall men with muscle mass in their bodies completely overtaking the average female body? Have you seen some of them injuries? Some of them women will never play sports again, play women's sports again, because of the total ridiculousness of this idea that biological men claiming to be women should be able to play in women's sports. You're ridiculous. You're dumb. I would go to say ignorant, but if you're ignorant, it's only because you choose to be so. And you're absolute, uncontrolled idiots. Pure and simple. I'm going to go on record. Do I hate the far left? You damn right I do. Because as far as I'm concerned, you're nothing but a bunch of left-leaning commies trying to disguise yourself as socialists, trying to describe yourself as patriotic. You're everything but that. If you were patriotic, you wouldn't condone censorship that has been taking place under the Biden regime, the Biden crime family, for the last 4 years. You wouldn't condone biological men going into women's and girls' bathrooms and raping, sexually assaulting, or in otherwise making to feel threatened or making to feel like they would be harmed, because a lot of these women who are biological men turn out to be using this guise to be able to terrify and harm girls and women. That's why I go on record to say I do hate the far left. Do I hate normal Democrats? No, not at all. As I said, if it wasn't for that one, primarily, the one issue of the Democratic Party's mantra of taking away free Americans who have not committed any crimes right to armed defense, to choose to own arms. That is the first reason I don't vote down as an independent, libertarian leaning person. I don't vote for Democrats. The whole let's not build a wall issue runs a pretty close second. Beyond those two things, I agree with a fair amount of what Democrats believe in. I'm all for gay marriage. I'm actually pro-choice. Whether anyone out there chooses to believe that or not, ultimately I don't care. I believe in women's bodily autonomy. Pure and simple. Pure and simple. But guess what? As a 20-year veteran of our United States military, the U.S. Navy to be exact, I also believe in men's bodily autonomy. In other words, I am emphatically, undeniably, and absolutely against the draft and the idea that because I have a penis or young men have a penis, they should be called to fight in a war or wars that they may not believe in or support. Yes, a 20-year military veteran, and I wasn't forced to join. I joined of my own free will. Nobody made me. I made the adult choice at 17 years of age to join the United States Navy, and I served for 3 of those years as what some people who were in the Navy would call a deckhand or bosun mate. The remaining 17 years, I served honorably by choice and with a redirection as a U.S. Navy hospital corpsman. Part of my time as a corpsman was spent attached to the United States Marine Corps as a field corpsman, an FMF corpsman. That's right. I wore the tree suit, as we used to call it, from 1988 to 1998. I wore the original camouflage, not this digicam stuff, leaf pattern tree uniform as a corpsman for the Marines. And I absolutely loved serving by the men and women of the USMC. I love being a corpsman. For one reason, I got to play with their really cool toys, i.e. firearms, i.e. explosives, all that stuff. Because I also happen to like weapons. It is my various opinions on these subjects that allowed me to continue a career for 20 years. And just to note, I retired from the United States Navy as a hospital corpsman second class. For those of you who might not know, a second class petty officer in the U.S. Navy, his enlisted rank is called E5. I'll be quite honest. I should have retired a minimum of an E6 or hospital corpsman first class, but because of my legal activism as a Wiccan, you heard that right, I was a Wiccan in the military from the time I decided that Wicca was my faith in 1987, all the way through the remainder of my career until 1998. I actually was threatened with court-martial in that military because I was Wiccan. So all of you out there who might have said, oh, he's just some right-wing crazy person. No, I am a diehard Wiccan, which I also happen to be an initiated Druid. And frankly, I'm initiated in numerous magical religious traditions. But yet I lean right politically. I lean right because to lean left looks like an absolute absurdity to me. Far left people hate this country. They hate people who have freedom of thought, freedom of belief, freedom of political choice. And their hatred is so palatable as to be ridiculous. And frankly, because of their hatred for free thinkers like me, I openly admit I hate them. That's my choice. I have stood up for many things in my life. I stood up and created protest marches for Wiccan women who lost their children to the system. Jacksonville, 1995, Jacksonville, North Carolina. I stood up for a woman who was a priestess in my very own tradition of Wicca, who had her children taken away by Onslow County Department of Social Services. This really happened. Look it up. Feel free to look it up. Look for Jacksonville Daily News, old information. I stood up for a man who in the military at Cherry Point Marine Corps Air Station was being harassed and threatened for his belief in Wicca. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have fought the fight. I have stood the ground. I have marched in opposition to other forms of oppression. I have marched for women's rights of choice in a pro-choice march in New Bern, North Carolina, around, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago from the current date we're in now. Somewhere in that neighborhood. So I do believe in freedom. I believe in a right to believe how you wish, no matter how you wish or no matter how you believe. If you're gay, if you're lesbian, you should be able to marry in this country. No one but no one should be able to tell you who to love or who to marry or to have sex with, as long as that sex is between two consenting adults. I don't care if you're gay, lesbian, heterosexual, monosexual, amosexual. I don't care what you are. As long as you're a grown adult in the United States, no one should be able to tell you who to love, who to marry, or have sex with, as long as you're not hurting little kids. End of statement on that one. But yet a lot of you on the left would tell me, I don't have a right to own guns. This is what I have to say to you. Second Amendment, baby. Second Amendment to the Constitution. I will own guns, use guns, and defend my family with those guns till the day I take my last breath. End of statement. Pure and simple. If you leftists don't like guns, don't buy any, you damn morons. Also, my final statement I want to make to those of you out there who I know are praying against our President-elect Trump, you're praying against my right to own firearms. You're praying that these perverts that want to go into little girls' and women's bathrooms just to be able to get their hands on them under the guise of being trans. There is a worldwide, and I'm not kidding, there is a worldwide loosely knit group of witches, warlocks, pagans, heathens, magicians, occultists, practitioners of the Lukumi, of the Voodoo, and many other magical beliefs, who are in their own rights powerful magicians. We are linked throughout the world to bring about a successful Trump presidency and to also aid in Brexit and other countries that are facing leftist tyranny. We are working to clean USOBs out and allow true freedom in this world. If you think I'm kidding, go ahead. We've already seen the end result of this election, but you're going to see this same paradigm happen worldwide. We're sick and tired of your stupidity, of your communist socialist leanings. We're tired of your tyrannical leftist ideas that try to force parents of children to get sex change operations on their kids, which, by the way, are irreversible. We're sick and tired of your BS and all your hatred against people who want to have parental control over their children's lives until at least they're old enough to make their own minds up. You people sicken me to the nth degree. As far as I'm concerned, you're perverts. You're perverts. That's the bottom line. As far as I'm concerned, you're perverted. If you want to let grown men and other boys enter little girls' bathrooms, you got some brain synapses that aren't sparking very well. So once again, just to let you folks out there know, you may think there's a lot of you praying against Donald Trump. Guess what, folks? There's a lot of magicians who have linked up to destroy your un-American hatred for this president. And we're going to be working in other countries also. Do you want to know who those people are? I'll never tell you. Because frankly, some of them are working undercover inside of your own groups. Take that to the bank. Otherwise, blessed be, and have a great day, and have a blessed Yule. This, once again, is Douglas Helvey, no mask to cover my face, coming to you live and telling you, if you want a war, if you want a magical war, it's on. Pure and simple. Those of us magicians around the planet, we're going to protect the true defenders of freedom and not the fake commie-loving, socialist-loving pieces of shit that want to take freedom away.